We have pictures of the CCTV cameras that were placed there, and now we can see some of those pictures there, the closed circuit television cameras that are there in the temple premises that seem to have captured the movement of some of the suspects as well. The security agencies right now are going through that footage to know exactly what happened and also to zero in on possible suspects of these plots. Well, my colleague Kamaljeet Sandhu now joins us with the very latest. Kamaljeet, we know that the NIA team has finally reached Bodh Gaya and they're going through the CCTV footage. There's a person who's been detained and sketches of few others that have been released by Bihar Police. So clearly there are some leads. Currently, the investigators trying to put together these, join these dots and lead to some sort of a breakthrough.
Well, definitely. There are no breakthrough as of now. Remember, this team had reached late in the evening. So the NI has gone to the spot. There were 9 explosions. So they've gone to at least half of these spots, collected evidence. They'll go to the rest of the half today. The NSG team will also look into the content of the explosion. And obviously, Bihar Police sources telling us that there is an amount of RDX and TNT. But even though RDX causes huge amount of explosion, we'll really have to find out as the answer as to why the explosions were low intensity. Was the detonator of a less amount? Was it trigger that would cause the detonator to explode? Did not go off properly. But obviously, the message is very clear from the terror organizations. They know that this is the place. This is off season, so perhaps the number of tourists coming in were less. The damage was less. But the point is that the message was loud and clear. They wanted to avenge an attack. The link clearly having a Myanmar angle to it, and the tensions between two communities. So is this a retaliatory attack? This is something that they're going to be looking at. Even though Indian Mujahideen is a terror organization, they have a needle of suspicion on. It could perhaps be other terror organization also. But at this point of time, they're saying there are no clear leads regarding terror organization, though it is Indian Mujahideen that they suspect their hand.
Kamaljeet, stay on with us. We're also joined by my colleague Indrajit Kundu, who is in Bodh Gaya. Indrajit, we are seeing some CCTV images right now that you're playing out for our viewers. Just explain to us what's going on right now. As we know, investigation agencies are currently jointly, in fact, probing this at the moment. We know National Investigation Agency is in Bodh Gaya at the moment, and Bihar Police, of course, assisting them in this probe.
Well, that's right. As you can see, the CCTV footage, which is being, the footage is being shown to the media at press conference here by the police, the district police, Gaya district police here at a press conference. Shortly after this, the Gaya DDC, Mr. G.D. Singh, is going to be meeting the press and they're going to, tell us as to what their findings were after, carefully analyzing the CCTV footage that they have shown us. It clearly shows that, there was a blast which took place right inside the main temple of the Mahabodhi temple complex here. And what we are learning is that the footage that our viewers can see on screen, this has been taken from one of the CCTV cameras which were installed right next to the main tree, the sacred tree that is next to the main temple. So that one CCTV camera has caught this very crucial footage. Now, I've been speaking to some of the BTMC or the Bodh Gaya Temple Management Committee officials out here, and they have been telling us that there are several CCTV cameras which were installed, but it's interestingly, there is one CCTV camera which has actually caught this image of the entire attack taking place. Now, this may give the police officials, the investigators, crucial lead into the very investigation, because there are several people who can be spotted, bystanders, people, priests who were actually praying at the temple during that time, some who got injured. There are people who were passing by inside. So probably this will give them some leads into the investigation, and this is going to be very crucial evidence as far as the probe into this serial blast at Mahabodhi temple is concerned. However, we have to wait just a short while from now when the DDC of Gaya Police briefs the media as to what the exact findings are. We'll get a little bit more clarity into this CCTV footage that the police is probing into.
Well, Indrajit, just stay on with us. For those of you who are just tuning in, these are first pictures really of the explosion that took place at the temple in Bodh Gaya yesterday. These images, these CCTV images now showing what exactly happened yesterday early on Sunday morning. Indrajit Kundu now getting us the very latest. We could see in those pictures the first explosion that took place. There are also some people who are noticed in that CCTV footage, and this could prove to be the crucial link in trying to piece together this puzzle really of what exactly happened, how many people were there, how these bombs were perhaps planted at this site, were there any security lapses that were noticed. All of that could be, of course, would be more clear once the CCTV footage, the investigators go through this entire footage and then make out what exactly happened. Well, these are some of the other pictures that we are now getting, and we can see some of the people who are there in the temple premises at the moment. In fact, in one of the footage that was played out earlier, we could even see an explosion that takes place, and also in that particular footage, we could see some of the people who were there at that time. Remember, the first blast took place at about 5:30 in the morning, and then there were a series of explosions thereafter. Some of the blasts some of the bombs in fact were found before they could go off. Well, these pictures now coming out from closed circuit television cameras that were placed there. Thankfully they were working, and you can see the frantic rush there. This is early morning hour when the explosions first took place. The CCTV footage that could now hold clue into what exactly happened, and could also perhaps lead to the perpetrators, to the people who actually planted these bombs. The first pictures that you're seeing here on headlines today, moments after explosions were heard, you can see how frantically people are rushing out from the temple premises just moments after those explosions were heard. Indrajit Kundu, my colleague, still with us. Indrajit, as you said, we are expecting a press conference from a top police officer there in Gaya who could perhaps explain more, elaborate more on what do these images explain, to just take our viewers once again through what could we see in these crucial CCTV footage that has now been obtained by headlines today.
Well, that's right. These are very crucial evidences, and probably this footage, this evidence holds the key to the entire investigation that the NIA as well as energy teams which have landed here this morning, they are carrying out. The district police officials also helping in the investigation. We will hear from the DDC of Bihar Police, Mr. G.D. Singh, shortly after these footages are played out. But if I can just run through what we are seeing on our screens right now, the footages that have been captured by various CCTV cameras. We have been learning that there are around 10 odd CCTV cameras which were installed across the premises, and the ones that we are seeing right now are the ones which have been installed right at the center, near the central sanctorum of the Mahabodhi temple. The one that we saw just a short while back showed the explosion that was very clear, and that was captured from a CCTV camera that was placed next to the people tree, the very holy people tree. We are seeing CCTV footage from another angle right now, where we can see monks and pilgrims, tourists there inside early in the morning, offering their prayers. They're rushing out after the blast took place. So we are getting images of what exactly transpired at that moment of time, those series of explosions that took place early in the morning, something that has actually sent shockwaves across the Buddhist community and pilgrims from across the country and abroad. We have been speaking to so many of them, and they say they are shocked. They could never imagine such a thing happening in Bodh Gaya, in this temple, which is the holy shrine of the Buddhists. And we are just getting glimpses of the gory attack that took place yesterday, and what the situation exactly was, something that we could never have explained in words. That is coming through in these footages that are now being shown. And one can also get a sense of the security preparedness as far as these CCTV footages are concerned. It seemed like people were falling about. The fact that so many bombs, 9 of them which were inside the compound, made its way into the compound, raises such a huge question mark on the security of a shrine which is considered to be internationally reckoned, which is considered to be the most holiest shrine of the Buddhists. And we saw yesterday that most shops and establishments were closed. They were reeling under the shock of the attack. There were several foreign tourists as well. So, these footages are also showing the fact that the kind of, lack of security establishment that was there. Because remember, BTMC, which is the Bodh Gaya Temple Management Committee, they were in charge, and security and private security guards were in charge of the security within the campus, whereas periphery was being manned by CIS Jawans. So when we spoke to some of the members of the BTMC yesterday, and once again you can see people, running out of the compound after the the attack took place, the series of blasts that took place one by one, series of coordinated blasts, which involved gas cylinders and TNT. And some of the members have been telling us that they do admit there has been a lapse in security on their part, and an emergency meeting of the BTMC was called yesterday, and then they decided to hand over the security to the Bihar Police. But the damage had actually been done, even though luckily there has been no casualty because the attacks took place early in the morning. But the damage has been done, and what is more damaging is the psyche, the damage to the psyche and the peace that has been caused to the temple town, because most people are scared. And remember, this will also create panic among tourists and pilgrims who come from abroad. Back to you.
All right, Indrajit, you're getting us the CCTV footage of Mahabodhi Temple in Bodh Gaya, where these explosions took place yesterday. You can see the panic just moments after those explosions. Coordinated bomb blasts at Mahabodhi Temple in Bodh Gaya on Sunday morning. The first bomb going off at about 5:30 in the morning, and after that, in the period of the next half an hour, there were close to about 9 explosions. There were several other explosives that were later recovered by the bomb squad which reached the spot. You can see the panic just moments after explosion ripped through Mahabodhi Temple in Bodh Gaya. A lot of people among those who were rushing, as you could see, were monks, and you can see the security guards taking control of the situation. Just moments after these explosion, a lot of monks who were praying there early morning, completely shocked by the developments. A lot of people there rushing out of the premises of the temple. Clearly, this will also help establish the sort of security that was available at that point. Kamaljeet Sandhu is reporting from Delhi on the investigations and what really are the investigators saying at this point. Kamaljeet, the very fact that a lot of this has been captured on CCTV cameras should give hope that it should lead investigators to get more clues about who are perhaps the people who were in the area at that point of time, and could help them zero in on possible suspects.
Definitely, these are absolutely good clues to have, and what we've been speaking to our sources, even though NIA has not laid its hand on the CCTV, it's obviously been accessed by Bihar Police, and they are the ones who are really showing it. It's important to really go through it. It will show the sort of planning that has been done, the number of suspects, and how they really kept these particular IEDs. The sort of explosion obviously will go and show how powerful the explosion really was. This is something which will really give them certain leads. But as you've seen in the Hyderabad blast in Dilsukh Nagar, even though the CCTV footage was available, even in Karnataka where a small amount of that CCTV footage was there, certain leads did come in, but that actually did not give them the real suspect itself. But these are very helpful. This is modern technology, and remember, if the CCTV was not available, important clues could have been lost. But there is a certain amount of evidence which could be collected. Yes, Indian Mujahideen is something that they really suspecting could be behind this, and clearly this is also because of Syed Maqbool's interrogation and his confession that they were planning attack not only in Dilsukh Nagar but also in Bodh Gaya temple. And despite having that particular warning, despite having security in place, this bomb has gone off. Goes to show that a lot of lapses did take place. But obviously the blame game has begun. Mr. Digvijay Singh has just tweeted about how the NIA should be allowed to do the work. The politics should not come in play. But remember, the focus is primarily on investigation, on the post-blast data analysis that the NSG can throw up. But our sources are also telling us that it's the gas cylinders, it's the TNT, the RDX being used. This is something, were it used earlier? Is this an imprint of Indian Mujahideen? This is something that they will eventually be looking into.
Well, point scoring and politicking certainly will not help matters at this point, especially when these are matters of security and national security. But clearly, Right now, as we can see, the Bihar Police just will hold a press conference in a few moments from now. These are CCTV images that we are playing out for our viewers. Well, Bihar Police in a moment from now is going to elaborate more on what really has been made clear by these images that are now out. The closed-circuit television cameras that were placed in the temple premises, capturing the very moment when the explosion first takes place, and thereafter the panic. As you can see, so the people who were there at the temple premises offering prayers in the morning, rushing out frantically after the first explosions were heard. And as we now know, NIA team is finally in Bodh Gaya, and they will be carrying out investigations. They're being assisted by Bihar Police. And as far as the investigation, the probe so far is concerned, well, one person has been detained by the police, and he's being questioned whether he had any role to play in the multiple blasts that rocked this temple in Bihar yesterday. And apart from that, there are two pictures that have been released by the Bihar Police. There are two suspected Indian Mujahideen operatives who apparently sneaked into Bihar just last month. One of them is from Scotland, while the other one is from Saudi Arabia. Police is also trying to investigate whether they had any role to play in this particular blast. Well, we have Indrajit Kundu back with us on the phone line, joining us from Bodh Gaya. Indrajit, what more are the Bihar Police sources right now telling you? Because NIA is joining this investigation almost 24 hours after the blast first took place. What are the leads that the police is working on?
As you just mentioned, one person has been detained and the police is interrogating that person. Interestingly, there was, sketches that have been released as well. The police is examining samples that have been recorded from, that have been collected from the temple complex by NIA team. So the police is, probing all the aspects that they have got, all the samples that they could collect from the temple complex. They have also been investigating the live bombs that have been diffused and the character of them. Those have been sent for forensic examination. Forensic teams, in fact, were there yesterday. So they are trying to get as much leads as they can from the samples that have been collected. Also, interestingly, as we learned that there was one person who has been arrested in Calcutta yesterday, an IAM person. So the police would also be looking into that aspect. These CCTV footages, as we have been showing our viewers, holds crucial links to this entire series of coordinated blasts. One that you could see from 5:30, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. So this is something which is very important. But as we have been mentioning, that the security has been beefed up right now. But if we go back to how the security arrangements were at this place, so it is interesting to point out that as the CCTV footages were showing, it looks like there were very few people who were inside the temple complex. It was early in the morning and only prayers were going on, so very few pilgrims. But the security, just a big question mark on the security setup is the fact that being such an important installation, how could 9 bombs of such nature, even though the blasts were of low intensity, could make its way inside the temple complex, one that is visible from the CCTV footages here as the blast took place, and people frantically came out of the temple complex. Some are also saying that some of the people who were visible on the CCTV footage during the duration of the blast between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, they might also hold key to the investigation, because there are a lot of people, these people at the DTMC, the trust, they would try and help the police locate and find out and identify all those people, because some of them, if at all they are outsiders, that will be important for them to know. There are certain people like sweepers and others who are, who used to work on behalf of this organization, so that is important. But they would also try and locate, if at all there were any outsiders, and if at all there were any suspicious person, and they would try and investigate that as well. Back to you.
Indrajit, just stay on with us. Let me quickly go back to Kamaljeet Sandhu, who is reporting on the investigations that are being carried out. Kamaljeet, there are a couple of things that we know. One, that these were successive explosions. There were timers that were used. These were low-intensity blasts. What are the experts saying? Is there a pattern that they seem to be reading into the explosions that took place in Bodh Gaya yesterday?
Well, definitely so. This amount of content that was brought in by the terrorists, and obviously with the ease that they've got in the cylinders, the TNT, the RDX, got into the three security layer. So there is Bihar STF, which is outside. There is the internal security of the temple, which was inside. The ease with which they could get in these 9 explosives, plant them in different places and have them go off, goes to show the ease with which, and obviously they had done enough recce. They were very well aware, and obviously these were synchronized attacks with one bomb going off in no time as the other. So obviously the timing was done. We've also been told by sources that behind those bombs, at least the live bombs which were found, which didn't go off, there was something written in Urdu, which goes to show that those people perhaps did not belong to this particular country. And obviously there were certain markings as to where the bombs had to be kept. All this will be taken into consideration. But yes, once the content is known, can we really find out whether this was an imprint, as you mentioned earlier, of Indian Mujahideen or otherwise. And we've seen bombs of low intensity go off even in Surat, where the numbers were equally large. There were almost 20, more than 20 explosives which were kept in and around the particular area, which didn't go off. And here also we've seen the intensity of the blast seemed to be extremely low. So obviously the damage is done, but the damage is not so extensive. Obviously the casualties, the number of people who've been injured is extremely less. It's only 2. So obviously the injuries were less. So what is the reason behind this? What the tactic is? This is something which is going to be really looked into.
Kamaljeet and Indrajit, just stay on with us.